but I hope you're enjoying it and feeling really inspired and grateful. I think it's a big feeling that I have right now for what we are part of, for the company, for the inspiration and positivity and all that kind of stuff that we're part of. I just think that's, I think if I were going through this situation now in terms of coronavirus and lockdown, having not ever found this business, I really question how, what impact that would be having on me, not just sort of financially, but also kind of mentally and emotionally and all the rest. So I joined, I'm going to just shut the door, actually, forgive me. I joined the business in 2008. And actually, there was a weird little thing on sort of admin in terms of when your start date actually happened, that my start date is the day that I gave birth to baby number 3. Just weird, right? I didn't actually start on the day, but that's my start date. And I woke up that morning after a very long labor in a side room with my baby, and there was a woman in a chair, and the woman in that chair was sitting and looking at me, and I was kind of looking at her, and she was very nice. She was asking me questions and cooing over my baby and things. And it took me a while to realize, but it actually turned out she was a psychologist, and she'd been put in there to assess me. And it was kind of a mistake, but part of me thinks maybe it wasn't really a mistake. And a ridiculous scenario, of course, where you have to try and explain to somebody that you are sane and rational of mind. The more you do that, the madder you sound. But why was I a little bit mad? We were in a really, really difficult situation. Elodie was, we had 3 babies in 4.25 years. And actually what triggered me starting the business was the fact that I was about to go onto maternity leave. And I discovered I hadn't been back at work long enough between number 2 and number 3. So that was why I started. I'd already been shown the business and was a customer. And I thought, okay, well, instead of referring people to my sister-in-law, I could do a little bit of this. And I didn't have any vision or expectation. It was just a thing, just a little stopgap or something that I could do. And you may have seen me doing the online ops, but I would say, long story short, I never went back to my career as an architect. And what happened was that actually we were living in a 1-bedroom building site, a family of 5 now. Our bed we had our double bed in the living room, like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. So that wasn't exactly the plan. And we were under a heck of a lot of financial pressure. The flat we were living in was a building site, so we were living within a very small space, and the builder was actually going. We were worried that he was going to go bankrupt, and we didn't have enough money to kind of get things through, and loads of pressure there. And then also a flat that I had persuaded my other half that we should hold on to rather than sell. So it was kind of my idea to enable us to make the leap to being able to live in a house rather than a flat or whatever. This investment in 2008, because I'd had gaps in my earning, making oodles of babies, I wasn't able to remortgage it. And in 2008, you might remember that interest rates started going up and up and up and up. And that was incredibly stressful. I think in the thing that I wrote that Stuart saw, I said it was like a noose around my neck. And part of that pressure was the fact that my dad went bankrupt when I was a little girl. And the fallout from that was our whole family fell apart. He became chronically ill and so on. So it wasn't just the financial pressure of kind of counting every penny and kind of that kind of thing. It was also this kind of legacy of just worrying about how I could cope and what the impact would be. And so now in these current times, my situation is very, very different from it was then. We have moved up north. We live in a beautiful house. We've got 1 acre of garden around us. We're on the edge of the national park and can, have beautiful walks and things. And we're in a very, very different situation. And my background's architecture. Ollie, my other half, he's also an architect. But he doesn't do this business, but thanks to what he's been exposed to and sort of, I guess, the personal development can kind of, it sort of, it magnifies your values, but I think it can also steer your values a bit as well. And so he now teaches at the university in Sheffield full time. So, and that was a choice that he made, to have 8 weeks holiday a year. We don't work during school holidays, really. We have all that time with the kids and get to travel every summer for a month on some big adventures. And thank God, you know, he's therefore not in this kind of, the construction is always the first thing to go, basically. So our situation is very, very different. And, you know, just got to the senior group leader, got an amazing team. We just had a whole string of promotions, one after the other, in the run up to Express Day, which was really, really exciting. I think there were about £13,000 worth of leadership promotion bonuses paid out through the team in March. And but I think with what's going on right now, I just feel like there's a massive, massive duty to share the good news that we've got to share, because I think about people like myself in, you know, it's even worse now, sort of stuck in their homes, just seeing their savings, you know, getting wiped out, seeing their careers, seeing their jobs, their livelihoods, they're just getting washed away, really. And I think, you know, you have to be a bit careful about where you're catching people, because I think there's still actually quite a lot of denial going on. And people, you know, I've certainly speaking to some prospects, nice people that I've had a relationship, and I know they'll join when the timing's right for them. And oh no, I'm on furlough. You know, a car sales guy, a guy who sells not like dodgy timeshares, really nice kind of holidays in Spain. Oh no, instead of I'm on furlough, I'll be fine, I'll go back to. You're kind of thinking the world isn't just going to spring back. There's not going to be people buying, you know, lots of high-end cars and holidays. I don't think, you know, right off the back of all of this. And so, you know, when you think of people as individuals rather than as prospects in their homes, worrying about what's going on, the impact that has, you know, that affects your sleep. I mean, some of you may have been through this kind of stuff yourself. Some of you might be under more pressure now than you ever were due to the lockdown. And yeah, I just think, you know, I think about those people as individuals rather than prospects, the impact it has on their sleep, their relationships, the pressure, you know, just the atmosphere that, you know, children end up in, where there's financial pressure in the house. And yeah, the impact that has on people's happiness. That's a large part where our team name, Team Happy, comes from. So we've got good news to share. We can, you know, help people to save money. We can help people to create a meaningful extra monthly income from, you know, literally from day one. I believe now we can get people off to a better start than we ever have done. I think the remote supporting system is phenomenal. I love it. I don't know if any of you have used the new Fast Start plan. That's brilliant. It works super well on Zoom, actually having that information in, you know, on a screen share in people's faces. This is what we do, guys. Let's get going. And because of, you know, we were doing really well as a team with the supporting system and getting good duplication and progress using that in the old world, where we were driving around to this appointment, to that appointment and all the rest. And there's something I like about that. I like the time with a new distributor, but it takes a lot of time and it can be difficult to manage 3 sets of diaries. Whereas now, you know, you can do an appointment, you know, you schedule an hour in your diary, you jump on Zoom, you do it. And I think also right here and now, because of lockdown, people are the prospects have a lot more availability. They also have a lot more curiosity just to help their friends out. And, you know, we book in our appointments in the team with a little text, which starts with just a brief bit of their story. And so they're starting a new role. Can they have some practice? I don't know if you guys use the same script, but everybody says yes, actually, pretty, you know. And so we've got a risk-free, proven, realistic system, you know, to help people make a meaningful difference here and now. And also with the residual income, you've got that opportunity to safeguard themselves when COVID 23 comes up, or whatever the next thing is. And so if I was going to give you guys any I would say, I don't know how much time you want me to fill through it, but I certainly, I think it's sometimes easy to think, well, oh, they're a senior group leader now, or oh, they must be really good at this. I was really bad at this when I started. I wasn't a natural fit with the business at all. I come from an academic background as a creative. There weren't any sort of role models in that sort of ilk, I would say, in the business back in 2008. And there weren't even very many women that you saw that were really doing it. Lisa was fantastic to see it, at trainings and things. Oh my God, she, and there was sort of like a light there. Whereas I think now, we see lots more different sorts of successful people in the business. And I think that's really powerful. And so I'm all right, thank you, darling. My sweet little Elodie just offered me a cup of tea. So she's been doing that sometimes when I'm on appointments, which is really nice as well. So I would say I wasn't a natural fit. I didn't think I had the charisma or the personality or the confidence, or I wasn't shy, but I kept myself to myself. And I would, I enjoyed being amongst a group of friends that I knew. And if there were new people within that group, I was happy to meet them, but I wouldn't sort of push myself out there. And so much changed from being part of this business and sort of expanding that comfort zone. There's no way I would have had the confidence to move 160 miles to somewhere that I didn't know anyone here when we moved here with 3 young kids, and have gone on to build, a big team and business up here and beyond. But what I did have was determination, I would say. I would say that I had, so what architecture had given me is, it took me 10 years to train as an architect. So I've been in this business sort of properly, really going sort of for more like 10 years now. So I kind of, when I reached the 10 years mark, I thought, okay, I'm just graduating now. And now I can get really serious. So I've got that kind of tenacity. But also, I think it was about putting it into action. We had the resources on the partner portal and all of that kind of stuff, and all the training and all the support and all the Zooms and all the tips and all of that is brilliant. But actually, nothing beats action, right? Whoever shows the most presentations wins. That's simple. And, we didn't have all of that stuff. So what I'd do is I'd go to a training once a month, and I would just try and put it into practice in the gaps in between. And then I'd go back and try and get some more and kind of tweak that. And that's how you learn, by doing. So that would be a sort of a key message. And in terms of putting it out there, I didn't like friends early on looking down their noses at me, kind of, what's an architect doing this, or whatever. It's changed now. They kind of said, that kind of worked out all right for you, didn't it? But so I kind of hid. I decided to try and do loads of cold market stuff, or I'm going to speak to businesses and all of that kind of thing. It's kind of hiding, really. Actually, when you know what this business delivers, share it with people that you care about, share it with people that, and it doesn't matter whether they say yes or not. It's the fact that it's knowing what you need to give people the opportunity to make their own mind up. And your success in this business, or our success in this business, is never determined by any one conversation. It's, there are two. I was doing my teeth this morning. I think there's sort of two answers to that. It's not determined by any one conversation with any one prospect. The sort of flip side of that is either determined by lots and lots and lots of conversations, or it's determined by only one person, and that is you. And sort of what you say to yourself at the end of that appointment, that didn't go to plan, or they didn't really get it, or it's not for them right now, or whatever that outcome was. It's what are you going to do next? Right, who else can I speak to? And that's what makes the difference. And I think, and I'm not saying to burn through your friends and contacts, kind of like a machine gun. it's to show people. And right now, I mean, this has been challenging times, right? For all sorts of reasons for everybody. And I sort of got to a point where I felt like I'd been hitting my head against a wall, trying to get appointments from old WAM forms and things like that. And I'd get appointments booked in, and then they'd found a new way to hide behind the sofa. They just turned their phone off. It's like, oh God. And, you know, and I kind of thought, I don't know, you know, so you go through these different phases, and actually, who do I want to help? I want to help people that I care about. I want to help people that they care about and have an impact in the world in that way. And I know, you know, it's help enough people get what they want, and you can have everything that you want. Did I get that the right way around? Yeah. So yeah, I'm having lots of conversations connecting people, and it might just start with a sort of message. Hey, how are you doing? Yeah, how are you? How are you faring through all this? Just wanted to check in and see if you're all right. And it starts a conversation. I've had conversations with people I haven't spoken to for over 10 years. You know, one of my first customers I ever picked up from business networking. And actually we had a little one-to-one on Zoom the other day, half an hour. I didn't pounce on her with, you know, like, right now, can I sign you up as a customer? And in some cases, depending on what they say, that might be, well, you're struggling financially, let me help you, let's have a look at this, let's see what we can do. But it's about just, you know, letting people see. So I sent her a link to my website, I sent her a UW story, and we've started a conversation that is, I know, will turn into business over the coming months. And that's good for me on that front. And then there's other stuff where it's, I'm reaching out to people and sort of saying, look, you know, loads have changed since you ever saw this, or you know, I don't think I've ever properly shown you what I do. I'd really like to show you, not necessarily coming at you, but because I know there's people that you know that this could be really valuable information for. And you get a message back, well, it's probably not for me, but I'll be happy to take a look, or something like that, which is fine. And because the only thing we can control is how many people we show. And you know, we've got this fabulous referral system for the customer proposition, but actually, you know, you're a credible person building your business with UW. Be somebody that can be, you know, invite those referrals for the opportunity as well. You know, hey, can you speak to my sister? She's just lost her job, or, you know, whatever it is. And then one last little point, I think, that I think is something that is really important to me in terms of getting over myself in network marketing, and something that is, I think, is important in terms of the culture that we have in our team, which is that network marketing, I mean, it's changed a lot, massively, over the last 10 years, hasn't it? From being that fringe, kind of slightly weird thing where somebody once tried to sell you something under the table in a cafe or something, to like, you know, a FTSE 250 company and a really legitimate business. And we've got things like Uber and Airbnb and all these sort of side hustle type things that we know people need to do in order to, you know, get by in the world, and actually because they're entrepreneurial and they've got that drive. So but network marketing can sometimes be misunderstood, and I think it is with good reason, because sometimes people have seen it done very, very badly, and whatever. But actually, fundamentally, what's going on in that kind of dynamic, whether somebody's had a prior experience or not. But we are introducing something new into a relationship. We are introducing a business sort of dimension into our friendships, or introducing it to, you know, sharing it with our auntie, or, you know, whatever. And you might have got this all figured out for you, but think about it in terms of your new people and how they're going to be putting it in front of people. And I think the key thing is we're introducing something new into a relationship, and actually so-and-so's auntie doesn't want to let them down. They love them dearly. So they don't want to feel that they're being put, you know, they don't want to feel that they're letting her, you know, their niece down by not signing up as a customer, right? that's a bad feeling. And so what happens is that can create a kind of tension or something. And it either is that's the reason why, as soon as somebody gets a whiff of it's a, hey, can you look at my business kind of thing, that they go, no, I'm not, you know, they'll put the barrier up now, before it gets awkward round the kitchen table, or you know, that's why people sometimes go into witness protection, or, you know, all of that kind of thing when you're following up. So I think if we're introducing something new into a relationship, we have to just be really responsible about making sure that there's never any awkwardness. You know, so it's not, it doesn't become, UW doesn't become the elephant in the room at family gatherings or amongst friendships. And the way you do that is, I'm going to show you something. I think you'll really like it, but if you do, that's great. Can help you with that. But if it's not the right thing for you right now, have a think of who else you know. So again, you're always doing that kind of, and when you're with the right person who gets this business and sees this business, they're then thinking, yeah, I know lots of people, they want to put themselves in the picture. If they're not that way minded in terms of putting themselves in the picture, they're still thinking, and auntie can help her niece by saying, yes, actually, you should speak to, you know, Gary's daughter, or, you know, whatever. And so they've got a way out that's sort of graceful, and that they can maintain the relationship. And likewise, as that goes along, and this is, I think, key with team members as well, where you start to feel like, do they think this, or do they think that? And, you know, what's kind of going on there? You know, why that friend who almost joined my business now isn't, or whatever. Is we need to be the grown-up, and we just need to ask the questions and just say, would it be okay to ask, like, what's going on there? Do you need some help with that, or do you want me to just back off for now, or whatever? And when you're a grown-up and can have those conversations, it all just becomes a whole lot less scary and easier, and so you are freer to talk to more people, because it's not going to end up getting weird. Does that kind of, I think that kind of brings me full circle to where I was starting.
Yeah, that's awesome, Tamsin. I've unmuted everyone. So has anyone got any questions? I know Kathy had one.
I've typed it up. I need to look at it. Well, I just wanted to know how you got over the new way of technology, because I struggle with that. And did you find it quite simple, or have you mastered it?
So I am a technophobe. I don't like technology. I know, as a rule, I learn what I need to know and sort of don't deviate from that, if you know what I mean. I also don't like going to new places. I like travel, but I don't like, you know, like, and then they developed these things called sat navs, which were amazing, because you could just put it in and it would get you there without all that kind of worry about how you know, which junction you had to come off on the motorway and stuff like that. So I think the technology is there, and the technology can help us. And actually, once you get over that thing of like, I don't like doing that, or I don't know, I'm not very good at it, it's actually remarkably simple. I had done some remote stuff prior to lockdown, because moving across the country, and also having team across the country, and referrals and things like that. So it wasn't totally new, but it kind of was, because everything felt so new and different. And of course, we were given this new tool that I hadn't used before. And so in terms of, like, for an appointment, if it's just me speaking to somebody, I keep it really simple. I don't bother with all this Zoom and stuff like that. I think it can be quite confusing for the prospect. And I don't know, the system they've built is so much simpler. I can call and speak to them and put the phone on speaker. Or nowadays, I think it's becoming increasingly common for people of all different ages to like video calling, because that's how they're keeping in touch with family. So like a WhatsApp video call is, and so you just have that there that's how you talk to them. And you bring up the remote appointment thing you're in. There's a 5-point set of instructions which tell them to go on their computer and type this in, tell them to do this, you know, and then you give them the appointment code. I think you can do it. I actually think it's a lot simpler than a lot of the stuff of, like, when you're sitting in the sofa and their dog's there and your cup of tea's there, and, you know, like, you know, all those other variables, and they just start putting all the information in. So it goes much quicker, and I think they have that ownership. And the other thing to say is that I have done a couple of appointments where, for whatever reason, they haven't been able to do the stuff their end. Their internet wasn't good enough, or I can't remember what the other reason was. And what I ended up doing was I just used my phone and turned my camera around, so they saw the presentation with me basically going at the screen. So that, you know, are you familiar with that Which Award? And just showing them, it's just showing people, right? And so you can keep it really, keep it simple, I think, and give it a go. We've got team members who have never ever done anything remotely like that. Like we used to like have to update their tablet for them and all of that kind of thing. And actually, if you can go on a website, you can do it. You can absolutely do it. Does that help?
Tamsin, that's brilliant. I've got a couple of questions for you. I know you were a late starter in terms of really getting going, doing appointments after the whole COVID thing when you sit in your group. Yet you're one of the newest SGLs, massive, amazing team. So the message I take from that is that it's okay to fear change and to take it on at your pace, that you're ready. Am I right? Is that it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I so getting to SGL 3 days before Express Day, having worked 7 days a week for the previous 3 months, all on the promise that I was going to have a bit of a break after Express Day because we're, you know, there's all sorts of family stuff planned and whatever. So it's a bit of like, oh, okay, this isn't quite going how I thought it was going to go. But I mean, I've worked on my business every single day since lockdown. In terms of priority has been to like look after the team actually, because we had such an amazing run this year, and except that, you know, we've got some team that are workers. They're not active in the business right now, but they're still valuable, you know, members of our team, and we love them and check in on them and just see how they're doing, and you know, like just looking after people. And then, of course, there are people whose livelihoods have been lost, and so there was a big feeling of responsibility to be helping them and upskilling them. I actually have a teammate who I didn't realize. Well, I did realize. So her husband's business is closed. It's a climbing wall, and so that's going to probably be one of the later things to reopen because it's like a gym. And she's a coach, and she's lost loads of coaching clients and stuff. And she had, through lockdown, she had knuckled down, and so she did 23 appointments, and she only got one sign up, which was starting to take its toll, actually. And she reached out to me. I had no idea that she'd done so many. And so we did a session just going through like some little tweaks, like doing the cashback challenge at the start, and, you know, saying when you do this rather than if, and, you know, like just kind of like some little sort of tweaky things. She's now signed up 4 or 5 customers in the last week or so. And I think it's like, I just love, I think it's, I hadn't actually shared with team that she'd done 23 appointments because I thought that would like probably blow their minds. Like, would we really have the grit to do 23 with only getting one? Sorry. But actually she reached out, she got the help she needed, and she's had that breakthrough, and that's been one of my biggest kind of wins. She's actually recruited 2 people in that as well. One who's quit, but you know, that's the nature of it, right? And so what I'm losing my thread. Ask me another question.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask a question?
Any last questions before we let Tamsin go?
May I ask one?
Yeah, go for it, Lisa.
Hello there. You heard me murmur, sorry, I forgot we were unmuted. What you don't know is I have a partner here, and he is watching with me. And by the way, the reason I'm on the side is I've been eating breakfast.
That's all right.
Because I'm multi-skilling the whole time.
Yeah.
And Tamsin, it's been an absolute delight to hear what you say, particularly actually what you've just said about that lady, because I think many people wouldn't have the tenacity and the determination to continue. But you reached out and you tweaked and you've helped. And I think sometimes when we show our vulnerability, it's probably at the best time as leaders, because I think they think we know how to do absolutely everything. And you've said a few times now that actually we don't need to be the best, do we? We don't have to be the best at everything. All we need to do is to say, I'm going to try and do my best and see what comes. Because I want the team, obviously, to know, and many of them were witness that prior to lockdown, I had sort of started to use Zoom. And one night, I had 97 on a Zoom. And I was so useless, Tamsin, you cannot imagine. I had a team member rush round here to come and take control because I didn't know what I was doing. But I've now come full circle and I'm actually like super duper at this Zoom. And it's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. But it's only been trial, error, mostly through error, that I've managed to achieve. So what I want to know is, are there lots of things that you do that you learn through error, or is it you learn through your successes?
Oh, no, I mean, without a doubt. I mean, I remember, so one thing I would just say about this lady was, I mean, I'm in regular contact with her, but sometimes there's just one bit of information that you don't know, which is I didn't know the number of appointments that she'd done and what the conversion was on it. She put her hand up and said she needs help. And I think as independent distributors, we all have that responsibility to say, I need help. And there is the support. You know, if the first person you ask for isn't able to give it to you, ask someone else. That's your responsibility for yourself, is to get that help, I think, rather than, well, nobody ever asked me if I'm okay. That's not how it works, right? So so I'll give her that credit, basically. But yeah, I mean, in terms of learning by mistakes, I remember really clearly, you know, like, I don't know, I had been in the business maybe a year and was maybe on, maybe I got to like 20 customers in my first year or something like that. It was different then. It was actually easier to get the numbers, I'd say. And I was doing an appointment with a lady who I'd met through a Winner Mini, and I'd signed her up as a customer, and she was really interested in the business. So I was meeting her at lunch hour to like go over the business opportunity side of it. And she was wanting to sign up. She totally was ready and wanting to sign up. She was like, oh, she was so keen the whole way through. And I was like, it was all going really, really well. And then at the end of it, I said, so, do you think you might want to give it a go? And her posture just went from all like leaning over the table to, yeah, I might. And I knew in an instant what I'd done, and that I had said the wrong thing. And she's still not a partner, bless her. Maybe I should reach out to her in 2020. So yeah, you do learn. There are little things. Language is important. I realized, so I did a bunch of appointments. I was slow to get results. I wasn't slow to take action after lockdown, I would say, Stuart. But also part of what I thought, like, I don't have to get the business today in order for it to have been time well spent. Do you know what I mean? There are some people that I showed, and just because of their financial pressure isn't so great, they are running a high IT business from home now. That's brilliant, really interested. Can we do this after lockdown? That is not an unreasonable thing from their perspective, right? Then that's okay if I have a bunch of people that will sign up as daffies when things ease up a little bit. I'm okay with that. But I also want some business now, and I also see customers getting signed up, and I know that we can help people here and now. So what I did was I looked at, like, why aren't people signing up here and now? What are those issues, those worries or concerns that they have? And let's see what we can do to preempt them. And so I've tweaked my presentation. It's still the, you know, as they teach on Getting Started, just using what's on the page, with a couple of exceptions. So on the first page where they show head office, I go, normally we make a big song and dance about how our UK call center, you know, our customers love our UK call center. Right now, we're even prouder. They got everybody set up working from home before lockdown, and we've had absolutely continuous customer service. You know, really, really impressive. I don't say this, but there are big name companies that haven't managed that. They've let their customers down. So that's the first one in terms of our customer service has been spot on throughout. And then when we show the, you know, on the page where it says gas, electric, phone and broadband, whatever, and it's got double the difference. So I just go through that as normal, but I say, oh, I'm sort of like coming out of the role, you know, the presentation. You probably wouldn't have any reason to know, but utilities and telecoms, they're actually key workers. So there is nothing to stop someone from taking advantage of getting better speeds, better prices, better customer service right now, even through lockdown, and then on to the next bit. And tweaking that, I then got a bunch of sign-ups. So I signed up 2 customers myself, and have helped some team on supported appointments get sign-ups there, and also through the presentation, using language like right way, so you get those savings immediately or straight away, right now. Little bits of kind of just take action. Kind of the expectation is we're going to do business. It may or may not go that way, but you can try, right? So.
I like the key workers. Thank you.
I did as well. Cool.
Yeah,
So I hope you're all going to have a great day. Who's doing Wes's 21 Things Challenge?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, slightly kicking myself for signing up to that one. It's quite full on, isn't it? I would say also we've got some other team who are doing it as sort of like their aim is 15 a day or 10 a day or something like that. I think that's okay as well, because the one thing you don't want to do is blow out everybody on your list just because you're in such a desperate state to get through it. But some of my touch points are as simple as, hey, how you doing? I was thinking of you. What, you know, how are you faring through all this? The question I like is, when you sort of engaging someone in the conversation, what's been the biggest impact for you of lockdown? And you can start to gauge their mood. If they say they've had a bereavement or something, you're not going to pursue a business. Like, no way am I going to be going like straight into business kind of stuff. So you can gauge the mood. Anyway, we all good? We're going to have a good day.